So about once a week, I like to sit down and kind of just put ideas on paper in regards to YouTube. And I was sitting there thinking the other day, and it boiled down to this. Is it better to have one bad camera or multiple good cameras? And that's the conversation that I want to have today. So start of, let's say, 2020 moving up to current day or present day, I have had the ability to shoot with an array of cameras, whether it be the Sony a7 III, Sony a7S II, the Lumix cameras. I've gotten my hands on some Blackmagic Ursa G2s, I want to say the Pro version or whatever the production one is, more catered towards live events. Also got to get my hands on a Red a handful of times, and then in the past I've had the ability to shoot with a handful of Canon cameras. As someone like myself, who I would say I am on the more prosumer slash I'm not a professional cinematographer. It honestly embarrasses me to possibly say that because I have met a handful over the years that truly are like Netflix, Hollywood, Apple commercials, Fox Sports, you name it, type cinematographer. So I try to tread lightly in regards to, I'm a videographer, photographer, and video editor. Now I kind of disclose all of that or describe all of that mainly because I want to give you a little insight on my customer base and clientele revolves roughly around shooting interviews, documenting events, and situations really where if I showed up with only one camera, I actually might find myself in a huge pickle. So that kind of leads me down the wormhole in discussing why I think for a lot of us out there, considering having multiple cameras might be a better option than going in on just one ridiculously awesome camera. So to give you an example, my A camera is the Lumix S5. I also shoot with the Lumix GH4, and we're also currently rolling with the Lumix GH5. Now I have chosen to not sell a lot of my older cameras really because I found them to come in extremely handy when it comes to some of my projects. So let me explain. Let's go an example of like an event style video. Now, of course I could just run around with my decked out S5, or maybe let's say I bought a Red and the footage would just be awesome. But here is my biggest hang up. For a lot of event coverage, I need multiple cameras running because I need to capture a lot of things that are going on. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll set up my GH4 and my GH5, and those will be dedicated to time-lapsing events, you know, whether it be placing one at the back of the room or outside, or even taking maybe the GH4 and putting it focused on maybe like a stage space. This allows me to get what I would consider more coverage, but with just one person. So having the multiple cameras really does give me an upper hand in regards to, I can be shooting slow-mo footage, shooting more polished footage with the S5 while simultaneously shooting like very generic but needed footage with the GH5 and the GH4. Also a huge advantage of having multiple cameras would be setup time. So a lot of times what I'll have is my S5 decked out. I'll have a monitor on it, we'll have a V-mount battery. I'll have either the 24-105, the Nifty 50, or the 70-200 on there. And basically what I'll do is this will be my handheld shooter. This will be the camera that I kind of get more, like I mentioned, my stage footage, my really nice go-to shots. But then I might also have my GH5 set up on a gimbal with whether it be the Mecchi 12mm lens, or maybe I even go the route of using the Lumix 25mm f1.8. It gives me the ability to just put down my Lumix S5, go grab the GH5, and immediately transition from one type of shooting to another very quickly. And also a huge bonus would be if I take that GH5, put it on my gimbal, and also put it on my Manfrotto monopod, I can then raise that bad boy up and get some interesting shots around a venue space. Now, yes, of course, would I love a Red? Would I love, you know, some of these higher end cameras? Abso-freaking-lutely. But to drop like $5,000 to $6,000 when I could get 3 cameras for that price, that's really where my head's at. And of course, I'm a little bit biased. I am bought into the Lumix systems. I have some Micro Four Thirds glass. I have full frame glass. So it's one of those things where I am able to cover a range of kind of lens focal ranges, autofocus, manual focus, stabilization, no stabilization. I have the full package currently. So that is one thing I'm willing to admit, that like, that's kind of another reason why I'm bought in. But let's say, like I mentioned recently, I go on a push record shoot, and these guys, but they've got 2 Komodos. And of course, that's a huge luxury. But for a lot of us in our production companies, 2 Komodos would just be so expensive we couldn't even imagine it. It'd honestly be like half our profit for the year. So that's where I kind of push back in regards to having a really nice camera, is just having to go all in. And the Komodo might look amazing, but once we put it on social, once my client kind of sees it, I'm pretty confident if it came out of the GH5, the S5. Now I will stay away from using the GH4 as my main camera. This is pretty much dedicated as like a big wide kind of shot that I like to use, and really just dedicated more so to time lapsing and be able to speed ramp it in post to do some fun shots. When I talk about having just one camera, what if I had to do interviews? And that's something that I kind of do a lot. And I think a lot of us in the beginning will actually be doing a lot of interviews, a lot of things like concert coverage, things where people are going to, the budgets might not be as big, but there's an expectation to have multiple cameras because of the type of product that you're going to be producing. So if I only showed up with one nice camera to an interview and it was a 2-person shoot, I am absolutely gonna be a pickle. And what would probably have to happen is I'd either just have to shoot a big wide, or I'd have to just say, you know what, we're gonna do an over the shoulder, we're gonna acknowledge the interviewer, and we're gonna put all the focus on the interviewee. And you know, when that interviewer asks questions, we're just going to have to roll with it. But most likely I would probably just do a big wide 2-shot, and those are great, but if you're gonna just be consuming an interview, a lot of times it's really nice for cutting. Also for just the audience experience, having multiple shots just gives a better viewer experience. From talking to you guys, communicating with a lot of you out there of what you're filming, kind of your niches, I think it's very similar to me, where you're still in the process of growth for your company. You're very open to doing multiple things, whether it be weddings. And I didn't really touch on this, but weddings is something where having multiple cameras is an absolute must. Going in there with just one camera really could kind of, I think it could hold back the quality of videos that you're gonna be getting. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. If you are talented, if you're getting beautiful shots, if you know how to move quickly, you kind of are a little bit ahead of what's coming, I think you could be able to get everything with one camera. But what I've found in the past with weddings is that having multiples, once again, really came in handy, especially when it came to the actual wedding itself and doing the vows and things of that nature, is that if you just have your one camera locked off in the back of the room, it's just a really boring shot. But if you have 2 cameras, one locked off in the back, and then you're roaming with the other, getting some nice intimate up close shots, that is the icing on the cake. So the conversation pretty much boiled down to one badass camera or multiple good cameras. And I'm gonna lean multiple good cameras. I think it's really going to take your stress levels down. It's going to allow you to offer a different kind of product and multiple products for your client. And overall, it's gonna make your life easier. And I think a lot of us get locked into that we need this over-the-top ridiculous camera. And the truth of the matter is that the GH5 is gonna create a beautiful image. The GH4, if you know how to really lock in your colors, use the proper glass, you're gonna get an incredible image. And of course, the S5 and above is really just going to take advantage of some of the newer technology. Really, it boils down to, if you know your gear, you know what you're doing, I just think having multiple cameras really is going to make your life easier and allow you to get a more diverse, unique looking video. But you guys drop a comment in the comment section below. I am willing to admit I might be wrong on this one, but I think for most people starting up, multiple cameras is just gonna make everything easier, and it's going to, especially if you're a one-man band. And I think that's one thing I didn't really hone in on, is if you're like myself and you really do a lot of your productions by yourself, multiple cameras is where it's at. So hey guys, it's Trey Lowell with Lowell Productions. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like the content I keep creating here on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.